and then I'm going to go ahead and load up the middle school slideshow. So thanks for your patience.
And Ron, can you mute everyone's microphone also when you get a moment?
I do have that power. And all right.
The recordings will be mailed out to you, and then they'll also be posted on the social media feeds too, and on the CADA1.org Corona website.
All right. So I think we are in business here. So I'm going to go ahead and click present. And so thank you so much once again for your patience. And our first presenter this evening is Melissa. So Melissa, I'm assuming you made it, right?
I made it. I'm here.
Oh, good. Well, welcome.
Thanks. All right, you guys. First of all, I'd like to just echo the thank you for being here tonight. 320 people was a lot, and it kind of overwhelmed me. So I'm glad to see that this number is a little bit smaller. I feel a little bit more comfortable with 72 people. But my name's Melissa. I've been doing ASB leadership for 14 years, basically since I got my job, because that's what they do. And so I work at a middle school in Sacramento, and we are very much a high school style where we have kids that come in from kind of all over the place. We have an honors program, and then we have our neighborhood kids. So we're pretty diverse in kind of all aspects. So that's why I put in that first bullet, like our school dynamics are really unique. And if people know our school, like I know Scott's been at our site, like he can echo that we're pretty unique in that we're not just a local middle school. But some ideas that we're kind of throwing around, of course, we're still waiting for the county to just give us kind of guidance on what we can and cannot do. The list I have here are some of the things that we're tossing around. So we've talked about doing like a drive-through 8th grade celebration where families could all come in their vehicles, they get dressed up, stay in their vehicles, and then they can get their awards. We don't do a graduation per se, we call it a celebration because we're just celebrating kind of the end of their 8th grade year, their middle school experience. We've also talked about celebration by appointment. So having some sort of process where kids come in kind of chunks over the course of a couple days to have their picture taken with the principal, to get their awards, to have that special moment. We've talked about a virtual dance and going through social media. Talk around town is that's not a huge pull with the kids. They'd rather just wait and be together in that big group setting. And we're talking about classes, and we normally don't. But in this time, we really want to make sure that we are celebrating students as much as possible. And so even, it's a unique time. So maybe we'll do something unique this year, like class t-shirts, and somehow get those maybe delivered by the teachers and staff members to the students. Because we're kind of, we come from all areas of the city. So it would be kind of a big production to get those out. And then that goes with the yard signs also. We're looking into local companies to see if we can't get them donated. I know a lot of yard signage places are doing that for schools. But really the biggest thing is that we are really just going to recognize as many students as possible through our social media and email. And that is academic teams, that is individual students, that is anyone who wants to shout out a student, we're going to do it. So really trying to get to as many students as possible in a short amount of time. And ASB, to do that, we've been collecting images and anecdotes and requests from staff and things like that. I don't want to take up too much more time because I know that we got a little delay. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap up there.
All right, Melissa. Well, thank you so much.
Thanks, Ron.
All right. And by the way, so if you have any questions, you can go ahead and put those questions in the chat. Tegan is asking, where can we find the recordings? Will you email us? So all those recordings, Tegan, I can let you know that, and everyone else, that those will be available on our website at cada1.org/corona. And so that's our main resource for everything. And then, cool. All right. Well, so if you have any other questions, go ahead and put them in the chat. And we're going to move on now to our next presentation. And I believe that is Scott Bakovich. So Scott Bakovich, take it away, my friend.
Yeah. To echo what Melissa said, first off, thank you everyone for jumping on. I think what I've been so encouraged by and inspired during this weird, unique time that we're all in is how intentional and how, I guess, hungry advisors and educators are to continue activities, even though we're not physically in school. It's been really, really incredible to watch and to see. And it's been really fun from my vantage point. By the way, if we don't know each other, if I haven't met, I know most of the people actually on the call, but my name is Scott Bakovich. I speak at leadership events in schools, and more important than all of that, I am the founder of Involve, which has leadership trainings all over the country, and we focus specifically on student activities. And one thing that I think makes the middle school conversation really difficult is because high school has a series of set activities, graduation, for example, being one, that we tend to try to keep their rites of passage. We tend not to want to rock the boat. Middle school, it varies. Some schools have a promotion. Some schools have an 8th grade award night. Some schools don't have either. And so in terms of creating activities, we were really fortunate in that right when this whole thing started, we put out a ton of activities that have now become commonplace in this virtual kind of environment that we're in. But as things started to progress, I started to look at things from a little bit of a different point of view. And that's kind of what I wanted to talk about. And it's kind of summed up in the question I threw on the slide here, is that what if we replaced our traditional activities, whatever those look like for your school, for your middle school, by using the positive emotions associated with them? For example, if your school has a promotion and we know that celebration is a big deal, what can we do to celebrate students in a way that brings about the same emotions that your promotion would? Or for example, if we're really big on recognition and acknowledgement, how can we lend students, again, those same emotions, those same gifts of whether it's gratitude or whether it's feeling pride in what they've accomplished? How can we accomplish the same thing through our activities? And so I want to show you just 2 quick examples of how we do that. Ron, if you can bounce to the next slide for me. I don't know how. Thank you. I appreciate you. So for example, we wanted to look at acknowledgement. One thing I think schools have done a really good job of is school-wide acknowledgement, of acknowledging, hey, that we're in a struggling time and hey, things are difficult. And I think that what if we can take that large acknowledgement and then bring it down to a personalized level? So just a few examples. Number 1, you'll see signed, sealed, delivered. What would it look like if every single teacher on campus, every single staff member, and we can even add student leaders into the mix, what if we were all assigned a set number of students and we wrote personalized handwritten notes to every single student? And then what if we went ahead with a small amount of money and shipped every single kid those letters? That way every single student is getting a personalized letter from a staff member on campus. Down to 2 adjectives about you. Lawn signs are incredibly popular right now. Incredibly popular, middle school and high school, but what if we made them personal? For example, what if we sent out a shared Google spreadsheet? And on that spreadsheet, we had every student's name, and attached to the name, teachers can go in whenever and write positive adjectives that they would use to describe those students. So we say that Jill is really compassionate. She's incredibly humble. She's really hardworking. And we write those out about Jill. And then when we deliver that yard sign, we not only deliver it on the front, but on the back, we have them print the phrase, "This student is," and then we write those on there. That way they know that it's personal to them. That personal touch, so incredibly important when we're talking about acknowledging with an experience. I'm not going to take up too much time, but memory lane, another one. Each day we can post a positive moment that's happened throughout the school year. Ron, can you click to the next one? I can send out more info on these. But if we want to talk about celebration, can we go to, let's see here. I love number 5 as a quick example, projection of pride. If we have a large wall on campus that faces a street, can we simply set up a projector every Friday night in a way where teachers can drive by, and every Friday night we're spotlighting students through a slideshow? And all parents have to do is drive by that area and they're literally seeing recognition for that student. We can even have speakers attached to the computer and it's playing music and it's something the whole community can rally around. every Friday night that it consistently happens. Another one being chalk welcome. Could we get addresses of students? And then could we go as staff and write chalk messages in their neighborhoods for students to find, create a scavenger hunt? Again, it's simply a matter of making things slightly more personal, starting with the emotion itself and then planning the activity from it. And then we're going to go over a lot more of these. Ron, you don't have to go to that next slide because we'll cover it in the main session again with everyone. So I want to be sensitive to time. But again, our main focus has been how we can make this process more personalized, because since some of the large scale events will happen, it does not mean that we don't have opportunities for really intentional recognition. So thank you guys for being a part of it. I can always be reached with questions, but I appreciate y'all.
All right, Scott, thank you so much. And we will have time, we will have time for questions at the end. So far, our first two presenters are being, you've stayed right on track. I'm gonna go to the chat really quickly and just check. Okay, so no questions, just a few comments in there. So we're gonna go ahead and move on to our next presenter, and that's gonna be Monique Walton. So Monique, why don't you share with us?
Good evening, everyone. Monique Walton. I am principal of Cesar Chavez Middle School. It's a middle school in Hayward, California, in the Bay Area. I met with my leadership students today, and I've been an activities director I was an activities director for like 10 years, and then I've been an administrator for the last 5. First and foremost, give student and family voice as much as possible. Try to schedule Zoom meetings, maybe meet with the leadership students, or do a all 8th grade Zoom meeting, something similar to this, where they can kind of check in and share what they would like. Try to do the same for parents. Once you get that, then let's take it to the staff meeting, kind of talk with your staff and see what are some things that we can do. I thought about the signs. I thought the signs were a great idea. Even the virtual kind of graduation, and I'm talking a little bit about that. But what I'm learning now with this experience is that there are gonna have to be multiple things that you're doing to try to support as many students as possible. Many of my students are newcomers, and so they don't want their pictures on social media, on the computers, and some of them don't even have access to internet, which is a whole another challenge that we are experiencing. What I'm finding is that I have to be very careful with making sure that I do a variety of things to honor our 8th graders. We also thought about, if things opened up, which we don't know what's going on right now, if things open up, that we would possibly have a ceremony in July or August, and it could be, a smaller group. We have about 270 8th graders, but we'll do a smaller group and then just have them rotating in and out if we did something in July or August. In talking with the kids today, the only thing they were worried about was if they were going to get their certificate and how they were going to get their certificate. My SBDM team, we decided to do class of 2020 swag bags. We're going to purchase a class shirt for all of the students with their names on the back. Our yearbook is actually pretty cheap, and we have just lost my train. We have some extra money this year because we didn't have to spend everything. And so all the 8th graders that did not purchase a yearbook, we're going to purchase a yearbook for them and send it along with their promotion certificate. Going to encourage the staff to do like personal videos where you could say, hello, how are you? Congratulations. And we'll put together a little video that we can share with each student. Ways to create the videos is the other slide, is the other half of the slide. Encourage staff, encourage parents, and encourage 7th grade students to create like 10-20-second video messages. Not quite sure if you guys seen the TikTok challenges where there's somebody in a screen and then they put their hand up and then they show up and they're in a different outfit. Could totally do something like that with teachers and staff. Or 7th grade students to kind of just share those congratulation messages. And then just remember, if you're doing anything virtual, that you do check with all of your students to make sure that they are okay with their videos or their pictures being put on anything virtual that's going to be on social media or anything like that. I think that's about it. So my takeaway is to try to create multiple ways that you will celebrate them.
All right. Well, hey, Monique, thank you so much for sharing that. And I'm going to take just a quick moment to just go ahead and click the mute all button. I think, which may or may not be working. I'm going to go ahead and stop the share for just a moment. Yes. Continue. Good. All right. So we had a little bit of background noise there, and we just want to make sure that everyone can be heard. And I don't want to share that. I do want to share this. All right. Can we see? Are we seeing Monique? Monique, am I seeing your slide again? Okay,
Yes,
good.
you are.
Then we're back in the right place. Perfect. All right. Well, we're going to go ahead and we're going to move on to our next presenter who may need to unmute themselves. And this is Lindsey Sharon. So Lindsey from Ensign Intermediate, you are up. Lindsey, go for it.
Hi everyone, my name is Lindsey Sharon. I teach at Ensign Intermediate School in Newport Beach, California. I am going to focus more on awards just because I know that the promotion ceremony is going to kind of be out of my hands. We did have a meeting with the middle and high school directors and our director of secondary education last week where he took everybody's ideas into consideration, but it's our school board that's going to be deciding things. And from what it seems, it's probably going to be a virtual promotion or virtual graduation ceremony just because they're concerned about liability issues with, you know, the idea of the drive-in promotion ceremony as well as the drive-through promotion ceremony. So I really want to just focus on trying to recognize the kids, and my principal has been very supportive in that he's adamant that we're still going to have the award ceremonies that we've always had. We're just going to try to figure out a different way to do them. So I really want to emphasize student voice throughout the process. So even though we might decide something different than what the kids, you know, have in mind, at least having them participate in some kind of Google form. So we're going to be sending that out to the students. I've been talking with my ASB class and they've been giving me ideas. So we want to focus on personal recognition. So we have an award ceremony in which teachers get to recognize 2 students of their choice. And then we also have character awards that we give out to our top 20 7th graders and our top 20 8th graders. So I've suggested to my principal that we really go drop the awards off at these kids' homes because the kids were very adamant, like they want to see their teachers, they want to see admin. So I'm going to see if I can get as many staff members involved as possible, and maybe those that don't, there will be enough other staff members to cover those students so that we can make that personal connection with the kids and possibly drop off the awards at their homes. I talked with my kids about having an online virtually, you know, through Zoom, but I feel like the kids are going to just be so zoomed out by the time you're getting to award ceremonies that they just don't want to be involved that way. So we're not going to have a award ceremony in that setting, but maybe having the teachers actually create like a screencastify video, or perhaps the teachers could even schedule a Zoom meeting with the students that they're awarding, and that way they can meet with those kids and let them know specifically why they selected those students. I think that's very important. And then hopefully if we do get to do the drop off, I'm looking at my last bullet point right now, we'll photograph the students with the awards at their doors, and then we'll create a slideshow that we can share out. But just making that individual personal recognition, I'm going to be sending an email out to parents over our learning management system, School Loop, to see if they can send in pictures of their students, and then we're going to be posting those on social media as well, just to recognize the 8th graders, because I know they're missing out on things, and I just want to try to make them know that they are included, they are important. I think it's really important to try to make fun of the situation if you can as well. Trying to get staff members to be as involved as possible is really important. And I think that's it with mine.
Well, Lindsey, thank you so much. Before we continue and move on to Bill Battaglia, just wanted to remind everybody, first of all of these ideas that you're hearing in the slideshow, that's going to be available either later on this evening or tomorrow morning on cada1.org/corona. We also have the video, the recording of the middle school event, also the high school event, now that they are truly separate events. Both of those recordings are going to be available on the same website, cada1.org/corona. All right. Bill Battaglia, you are up, my friend. What do you have
All
for us?
right. Hey, so first of all, I just want to let you guys know that a lot of this stuff is kind of up in the air. One of the things I heard while I was kind of stuck in the high school room was the idea of letting kids know that things aren't canceled. Don't use that word. Use the word postpone or in the works or something, because just that feeling of just it's over, and we don't
Bill,
want our kids to
Bill,
feel
Bill,
that
I'm so
way.
sorry. I'm so sorry to interrupt you,
Yeah.
but just for a moment, you're breaking up just a little bit. I'm wondering if maybe temporarily you could stop your video. That way we can just hear your voice, and it might.
Oh yeah. Let's do that. All right. Can
All right. You're sounding good, Bill.
Can you guys hear me?
We can definitely hear you, Bill. Yeah, go for it. Thank you.
So the very first thing we did right away was we sent out a Google survey. We wanted to make sure that we have 3 middle schools, 2 high schools, and everyone was immediately, the first thing the kids started doing, first thing parents started emailing, what about promotion? What about graduation? And I've been doing this for, I don't know, 20 years or more. And I never thought the graduation or the promotion at our middle school, anyone really cared. I found out real quick that they cared, and that was their main thing. That 30 seconds they're walking across the stage, it's very important to them. And so very first thing we did, as the administrators and our activities directors, we got together and we said, whatever one school does, we're all going to do. We don't want to, one school did well to host a drive-through, and Marsh Junior High does something else. So we had to do the same thing. And so the district, with my principal, created a Google survey, went out to every student, every parent, and asking for ideas. And they started coming back immediately. Number one thing parents wanted was to host it later on. We were afraid to do that. We were afraid to say, oh, it's going to be in July, it's going to be in August, it's going to be in September. Because the last thing we wanted to do was have kids have another thing pulled away from them. So we are kind of sitting on it, to be honest with you, with what we're going to do. At our own school, we've just to try and keep those kids connected, trying to keep those kids, with us, is we did an all-staff video. Just yesterday, our PTA approved that they're going to pay for a shirt for all of our 8th graders, a class shirt, and those are going to be given out when the kids. However, and again, we don't know how we're going to give out our yearbooks, and what's going to happen with that stuff at the end of the year. Again, we don't know right now. We do have our awards night. That date has not changed. We've left that on the calendar, and we're going to do that in some way. We know that there will be some pre-recorded speeches by staff members for the awards that they are giving out. And I would like to see, as Lindsey said, those awards be delivered directly to the kids on their porch, left there, however it looks. We want to be able to give those to those kids. Even though our promotion is on hold, we're still meeting, we're still talking. Our activities directors, we talk, every few days to try and kind of figure out what we're going to do. And unfortunately, we don't know. I will, if you have questions or you want to know what we're doing, if you're in that same boat, please email me, please text me, whatever you want to do. And I'm watching this just like you are, to get some ideas that I can bring back, something that we could put in place right away, so our kids kind of know, hey, this is coming. So that's me, Ron.
All right. Hey, Bill, thank you so much. And Bill, already had a couple of folks asking, like 3 different folks asking in the chat if you could share. Adrian asked, can you post all the copies of the questions that were sent out to middle school students and families?
I can share that.
Well, and Bill, if you want, what we can do is because you still have live access to this slideshow, Bill. So if you can drop that in as a link on your slide,
Okay.
or we can find another way to share it. But that's probably the easiest way is if you just drop it in as a link on the slide that you already have.
Okay. Sounds
Cool.
great.
Cool.
Will
We
do.
appreciate it. Thanks, Bill. All righty. Hey, we have one final presenter for the evening. Last but not least, it is your CADA president, Allison Gadeek. So Allison, are you, I know you were, you were having some difficulty making it over from the high school to middle school.
I was, but third time was a charm. And I want to thank those 73 people that hung with us and got over to this room because this information is so valuable. And I'm learning a lot of stuff to take back. I've been taking notes like crazy for my school. Because like Bill said, you know, this is evolving. It's like a living program right now to figure out what we're going to do. So my school doesn't necessarily have all the plans in place yet, but these are some ideas that I've gathered from other people that I want to share with you guys for a virtual promotional ceremony, if that's what your district decides to do. So I know some schools are recording their promotees with like a 30-second message, and those could be posted out with parent permission. I think anything that we're doing virtually, we have to really be sure that parents know that this is going to be happening and that they're okay with it. But we could post out them giving a message and post those out over several weeks, a few weeks via social media, and then put them all together, compile them into a class of 2020 YouTube video. Also, if you're going to do some sort of ceremony, live stream it or play a recorded ceremony where students' pictures display and their names are read. You could do that on YouTube Live or Instagram Live. I know some schools are talking about drive-through graduation, and at first I was really excited about that idea. And I thought, oh, could we do that? Because they were talking about decorating the car, and you know, the family could be in the car with them that they're quarantined with, and they could drive through and pick up their poem and their, you know, their certificate and all of those things. But then I started thinking about the equity issue, and we have a lot of students in my school who don't have a car. And so whatever we're thinking of, we need to make sure that we're thinking of every student and that they have equal access to whatever that event is. You could record student speeches. In our traditional promotion ceremony, we have it out in, our high school is adjacent to us. And so we actually have the promotion ceremony across the street, technically on the high school campus, because it represents the transition to the high school. And we have student speakers. The ASB president does the Pledge of Allegiance. All of those things could still be pre-recorded and put into a virtual promotion ceremony so that the kids all get to see those things. You could record your staff making speeches for the awards that are normally presented, and the principal's speech could be incorporated into that, or you could have videos of the staff members presenting the plaques to the students on their front doorstep as a surprise, and incorporate those into your presentation as well. I'm hoping that we're going to use the money from ASB, from PTSA, from our 8th grade club that we would have spent on promotion ceremony to buy a yard sign for every promotee, and to mail home a certificate of promotion, our 2020 class poem, things like that, things that the kids can display. Again, with the equity issue, if it's a yard sign, we've got to make sure that that's something that they're going to be able to display in a window or somewhere else if they don't have a yard at their house, at their home. You could also offer online activities with student input to use as like their party. These could include one of our staff members wanting to organize an online Kahoot game where everybody can play. I know Kahoot has recently sent some stuff out and on how you can use that. Board games, my family is having a weekly, one week it was every night, nightly categories game. So you could organize board games like that where there could be a staff member in the room just kind of hanging out, making sure everything's going well, but then students could participate from their own home. You could have another breakout room, apparently it has to be 100, as we learned tonight, that has music. You could have some chat rooms, etc., and just have use Zoom and have breakout rooms with a staff member in each room, just to, you know, make sure everything's cool and everything's going well. But I think the more kinds of things we do where we help, like Scott was saying, provide that connection for students where they are able to virtually see each other and all of that. You know, with the governor's speech last week, who knows, you know, when we could postpone till. So I'd like to do something for them now while we can, so that they're not feeling like they're missing that moment in the moment. But student voice, parent participation, that's going to be really important to survey them, like Monique was saying, to make sure that we're keeping, and I think Lindsey said that too, to keep their voice in it, because this is their moment and they deserve to have some input. And Ron, I think that's it for me.
All right. Okay. So, hey, we had, gosh, I'm so blown away by everyone's flexibility and resilience. This is awesome. So let's go ahead now, and because we have a little bit of time, it's only 7:48, and heck, we even got we were 15 minutes behind. So there were a couple of questions. Randy asked a while ago, and then Kevin, you also asked about yearbook distribution, yearbook signing. So does anyone have, oh, and by the way, if you know how to raise your hand, if you click on participants, there's a little like raise hand button. So if you want to share something, Monique, do you want to talk about yearbook distribution or like virtual yearbook signing? What idea do you have? Oh, I saw you raise your hand. Monique, was that you?
It was me. I was showing off that I knew how to raise my hand in here.
You did a great job.
I answered in the chat. My yearbook advisor was telling me that many of the yearbook companies, we use Tree Ring, it's a smaller company in the Bay Area, but they have some way for kids to be able to virtually sign yearbooks. I'm not quite sure what or how it looks, but I'll definitely check in with your yearbook rep at the respective company to see what it is that they're doing, because I'm sure they all are trying to do something as such.
Yeah, that's really, really good. So we've had a couple of, Jennifer and Randy are both saying, hey, now that we have more time, Scott Bakovich, do you have some time to share some of your other great ideas that we kind of cut you short on, because I know you're trying to be respectful of everybody else's time.
Oh, no, yeah, no worries. If you can, Mr. Commissioner, sir, if you could bounce back to those slides.
I believe that I can. Yes, let me get that loaded up.
I understand I violated rules and that, so I accept the penalty point for that.
All right, let me get that shared, and I'll just get back, Scott, to your slide. This is the first one.
You could do either. I know we had lots of ideas in there. I can go through either. Okay, so we did sign, sealed, delivered. We did adjectives about you. One question that we often get, and I realized this after I started presenting them, is that a lot of this, in terms of, like Allison brings up a good point in terms of equity and accessibility. So the smaller your school is, obviously the easier it is to get personal with our recommendations. That's obviously natural, whether we're at school or away from it. And so for, excuse me. So signed, sealed, delivered, obviously far more manageable the smaller the school gets. At the same time, though, that's why activities like, for example, number 3, memory lane, can still be really beneficial. We can utilize our social media sites to do the same sort of positive recognition that we typically would through going to their homes, but we could do so online. So not to get too far into the weeds, but the first thing we always recommend a student leadership group do, if they want a social media presence that matters and that actually is seen, is we recommend that account follow every single student account they possibly can. The rationale for that, students care about what we call their ratio. That's how many people follow us versus how many people we follow. Middle schoolers care more than most. And so the idea is that we would, on our account, post a memory lane. So we could do it by month, we could do it by week of the year even. You go throughout the course of the school year where we were in session and have, for example, 5 posts that you would scroll through in a single post, 5 photos that are 5 highlights, for example, the month of August last year. And these can be highlights school-wide. These could be memories that we shared as a campus community. They could also be individualized accomplishments. For example, students who had a phenomenal GPA, students who had perfect attendance records, students who did excelled in a sport or in a subject. It could even be highlights in terms of club accomplishments. So we'd be posting those on a regular basis. That way it's giving students positive recognition in a personalized fashion. So again, really, really simple things like that. Sorry, I just see a text. Here's a big ask. It's got to explain each of these ideas on the slide. How about this? Is it cool? I can totally do this because I know we don't have a lot of time. would everyone, it be helpful if I go ahead, take all these ideas, actually give descriptions for each, and then Allison, Ron, I could just send them to you guys. You can post them wherever.
Well, and actually, Scott, that sounds great. Or you still have access, I believe, to edit your own slides. So
I
if
do.
you just
Okay, great.
drop
So
in
what I'll
those
do is I'll go in
descriptions.
there, I'll edit tonight the format of those slides. That way they are the title and then description underneath. So it might end up being a few more slides for the sake of space, but I'll make sure we get descriptions for all of those. That way everyone has access to them.
Hey, Scott, aren't you pushing something out tomorrow as well?
We are, yeah. So Ron, if you can go to that last slide. Yeah. So one question we've been getting a lot is, hey, like, what do we do next? Like, what does this look like? What is it? There's so much unknown. Students right now are equipped to handle only what they know, not what they fear. And so how do leadership classes look right now? And so we decided to do something about it. And so you're getting a sneak peek. We're launching this tomorrow. It's called Involve in Session. We'll throw the link in the, I'll actually throw it in the chat here in a moment. That way you can click it and actually sign up right now. It is entirely free. Literally, we want to give it away. My goal has always been to pour as much into students and schools as I possibly can. And so what it is 4 weeks long. Every single Monday, we'll be dropping a video. And along with the video will be a PDF. Each video will cover either virtual activities that we can be doing right now or planning ahead to how activities are going to look once we get back. And it's helping students through concepts where after they watch the video, there'll be a PDF that goes with it that you can easily assign as homework for that week. And the end result of that PDF and the lesson are literally them creating activities that impact your students in a way that's beneficial for your community. So we're giving that out super easy for students to access. Like I said, it's entirely free. Just sign up so we know where to send the videos each week. So it'll be a video along with accessible resources. You'll have access to literally everything for free, which is awesome. And if you have any questions as you go through them, you have more, you can always go ahead and reach out to me directly. I am nothing but a trophy husband right now, and those are my wife's words, not mine. I'm loving that. So I have plenty of time to respond. But like I said, I can go ahead and drop the link. There it is, right into the
Scott,
chat.
Can you hop back over into the high school room so that you can share that information with them as well? I'm sure those folks would be
Allison, do I just click the original link?
Yeah. And
I will do that right.
waiting room is off, so you should be able to get right back in.
I will try to do that right now. Perfect. I appreciate all of you. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Scott.
Yeah, thank you, Scott. Hey, Ron, are we going to have any more of these webinars going on?
Well, absolutely. So, Allison, I believe our goal is to do these, is it?
The third Monday of every month.
Yes, thank you. I was like, one of those Mondays, third Monday of every month. So we're gonna try to do that, and then ultimately our goal, because you for those of us who are CADA members, we're right now just in this time of crisis. We're just trying to get it out to as many people as possible. But eventually, we are gonna kind of put it behind the CADA membership, right? So those people who are CADA members, you're going to continue to enjoy this. And if you're not yet a CADA member and you're joining us tonight, then we're going to encourage you to visit CADA1.org and join CADA, be part of the family, and you'll continue to get great content just like this and great conversation.
And some of the things that we're looking at, Ron, for the future is we're going to talk to some of our sponsors to see what programs they have available to help us go virtually. I think we're all developing these programs as we go. There's been some interest from people to share out information. How are we going to do a virtual orientation for our schools or leadership retreat, things like that. So we're putting together some panels for those. If you have ideas, please email Ron or myself or Lindsey or Jeff. All of our email addresses are available on the webpage. You could also throw some things in the chat right now, but we want to make sure that we're serving you and helping to find the experts who can share their information with you to give you, the most innovative and creative things that we can. I see that Tegan Webster has politely had her hand raised.
Oh, good.
Hello. I put something in the chat about having a photographer take pictures of the kids in front of a green screen, and there were a couple questions, so I just wanted to clarify. So we hired a photographer who's going to come to the school. We have to make sure it's clear that we're allowed to have, it's like we're hoping to only have 10 people at a time in the area, but we're going to have tables set up so that we have about 30 or 40 kids scheduled for the day alphabetically to come over a couple hour period of time. And the student gets out, they pick up their certificate for promotion or their diploma or whatever you want to call it at your school. And then they are all dressed up. We have a backdrop for like the graduate, and then their family that they're quarantined with or that they're sheltering in place with can hop in and they get a photo. And then the photographer is going to move the graduate to a green screen and take a picture of them in front of the green screen. And the photographer is going to then go and put them all in a class photo with the school as the backdrop. So that way and then we're using some of our graduation ceremony money to give a picture to every single kid. So you just have to be able to find a photographer who's willing to come to the school and take all the photos and then make the photo. But I know a lot of photographers aren't getting work right now because they can't go to school events. So I found a couple in my area who are willing.
And I would imagine that families would be more than willing to pay for those special kind of packages, and especially if you can get a group photo with every kid. That's awesome.
Yeah, and then we have one group of students that is bused in, and so we have talks with the library in that neighborhood to be able to use their parking lot to do one photo session there, so that those kids don't have to make it all the way across town to our school.
And where is your school, Tegan?
I'm in Menlo Park.
Oh, okay, Bay Area. Perfect.
Tegan, great share. Thank you so much. And Monique, asked the question a little bit earlier in the chat. Hey, does anybody else, like, we are not the only ones who have the great ideas. So if anybody else has a great idea that they want to share, I figure we could probably, considering all of our challenges at the start, I think if we went to 8:05, I think we would be okay with that. So does anybody else in the last like 5 or 6 minutes have an idea that they want to share, or a question that anybody has they want to put out to the group?
Our school district purchased the yard signs for all of the high school seniors, so we're not doing the yard signs for the 8th graders. But what we're talking about at our school was a T-shirt, because I had received an email through one of the CADA vendors, the custom imprints. Oh, I put it up a few minutes ago. Custom imprints that they had a good deal on shirts. It was a either white shirt or a colored shirt and one color ink on front or back, just on one side, and they would ship directly to the student. And so we were talking about that, putting a cool title on the top, and then we were talking about, well, actually the counselors were talking about putting together like the students will get their certificate, but then also get this kind of this flyer, poster, memory board kind of a thing, where it'll have the student's name, it'll have, the Hillside Middle School students, class of 2020. And then they were talking about having, doing a Google form and having the teachers go in and write little things about each of the students. But then as we talked through it, it just seemed really labor intensive to like get all that information on the one thing. So we kept brainstorming. We came up with the idea of a Wordle or word cloud. So we put out a Google, just a Google form out to the staff and to the students and parents. Just give us a word or a couple of words to describe this year, this experience, this whole thing. And so we're going to take, probably not all, but some of those words and create just a big Wordle and put that Wordle or word cloud, whatever you want to say, and put that on the T-shirt with, I don't know, we're the Hillside Hawks, something with like the Hillside Hawks have flown the nest or something on the T-shirt. So we're looking into T-shirts right now for the students. And then also I'm trying to get in touch with Kahuna Flowers. I don't know if any of you have done the Kahuna Flowers at your promotions. I'm seeing some of you nodding your heads, and I mean, I've had great success with them in the last many years, and was looking forward to them again this year. And my admin asked me about, well, what about the kukui nut lays? Because I love those kukui nut lays, the personalized ones, the colors, everything. So I was trying to reach out to them to see what their availability was, if they're able to ship directly. I mean, I know the kukui nut lays are already $25, so to ship directly could be, I don't know, $30 or something. So anyhow, that's what we're doing, because we don't have the cost of promotion, that they're looking at using that money towards a T-shirt for every student. So that's one idea that we are moving forward with at Hillside Middle School in Simi Valley.
Torianne, thank you so much. Proudly representing Area D. Good job. Hannah Kincaid, you've had your hand up. Hannah, what's going on?
Hey, so our district, I'm in Elk Grove Unified School District. I'm at Toby Johnson Middle School, and our population is approximately 750, promoting 8th graders. So we have about 1,500 students or so. And so our district has not made a definitive decision. And right now we're in between like all of what it would look like semi-live, and then I've been brainstorming with another colleague regarding what a virtual promotion certificate came up with would look like. And so it incorporates both the what's it called, the awards and things that the students would be honored with, but it would be personalized. So it's a certificate, and then they would have virtual badges based on what they did while at Toby Johnson Middle School. So every student would have the Jaguar, and then every student on our campus belongs to a team. So their team would be there at minimum plus their name. And then I created a Google form for, what clubs and teams did you participate on? I have access to their academics. And so each one of those would be a virtual badge as well, put on the certificate. And so we were looking at and playing around with what if we did a screencastify, read all the students' names, did 50 names at a time, then do some sort of chronological look back on their years, and then do another 50 names, and while breaking up the school into maybe alpha sets or by teams. And so we have that kind of going, and hearing what was shared tonight about making it personal, the equity issue, the what would somebody write about one kid versus what would somebody write about another kid, how many words would be said. I felt like this addresses a little bit, because even if they don't complete the form, there's still some information that I have privy to that I could put on there, and I know their name, and I know they go to Toby Johnson, and I know their team that they're on. So and then they would download it at a later date and print it.
Love the virtual badging. Hannah, thank you so much for sharing that. All right, so folks, it is now 8:05, and we are the mighty, the 61 who have remained. Lisa just has a quick question. Maybe we can just answer quickly. For those doing yard signs, what are you doing for those who live in apartments?
It could be window signs.
I love that idea as well. Awesome. Well, hey, listen, I think this is probably a good time to kind of bring it to a close. This is what I'm going to do. Oh yeah, go ahead.
I'm sorry. I just want to say one more thing to everyone in here. As a principal, it's great that everybody, we really want to try hard to make sure that we make it work for our kiddos. But really be mindful too that sometimes our families and our parents, just kind of allowing them just to be and check in and is enough, because this is a very overwhelming time for all of us, and all of these ideas are great, but I know that we all are either teaching in Zoom meetings all day long, along with taking care of our own families. So we will do something to celebrate all of our kiddos, but please don't overwork and overwhelm yourselves or your families really trying to make it perfect. We're in a pandemic, and it's not what we're used to. And whatever we do, our students and our families will appreciate it. And so just stay encouraged, but also know that sometimes less is more as well.
Well, and Monique, you bring up a great point, because there's really no one size fits all solution, right? So I know for my part, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this recording and the slideshow, and tomorrow morning, as soon as it all gets posted on cada1.org/corona, we have all those resources updated. I'm going to share this with my administration, our leadership team, and go, okay, how can we take all of these ideas and make it something that's going to work for our community? So folks, I'm going to go ahead and, this is the point where the this is I bring a little bit of chaos to my classes at the end of every class session, because I click unmute everybody. So you still have to
Hey, Ron-
acknowledge it.
Ron, before you do that, can everybody give a virtual round of applause for Ron for getting us moved over so quickly? That was amazing. I was like, oh!
All right, well, Allison, thank you. And folks, thank you so much for joining us. And please stay tuned to your email, the email address that's associated with your CADA account, because we're going to keep pushing these out. Stay tuned to cada1.org/corona. And we're going to try to keep sharing these great ideas, and also keep bringing us together, because this is really good work that you're doing. Keep fighting the good fight. And folks, thank you so much for joining us. We love you.
And reach out and share with us, you guys. If you have needs, if you have ideas, we want to hear them.
And we want to be able to share them to everyone else.
Exactly.
Absolutely. All right, folks. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Everybody.
Love you all.
Bye, Torianne. Bye, Torianne.
Kevin.
Area D.
Ken, you're in there
Area
somewhere.
D.
Area D.
Area D.
Bye, Ron.
Area